Hello everyone. So we're still on the sidelines of the bell ringing for Zambia Sugar's 1 billion market capitalization on the Luce. And with me is the Chief Financial Officer, our good friend Mr. Hezron Musonda, who's going to just tell me about what his reactions are for this monumental moment. Hezron, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you, Bala?
Absolutely. I've got this fancy bell that you guys just rang on this monumental occasion. You came to the company obviously a few years ago now. You're part of the furniture now at Zambia Sugar, and we've seen you at I think two annual general meetings. You've been reporting on the performance of the company. What does it mean for you? Because obviously things like market capitalization are not really in your control, but that signal from the market to say, look, we value now the stock at 1 billion. What does it say to you as the Chief Financial Officer, and how does that make you feel?
Of course, what this means for me as a Chief Financial Officer is the fact that we have been able to build confidence in the market. Our shareholders and the general market do now fully appreciate the value that we have as a business at Zambia Sugar. That is a starting point. And I know you mentioned that it's not really within our control, but it is within our control because if you look at this achievement, it has come from two primary sources. The first one is, if you remember, when we were closing the year, our share price was at 48 kwacha per share, but now we're at 75. And that is after we've announced the results to the market.
Correct.
That we were able to survive a perfect storm, which was a most severe drought in recent history in Zambia. But we still were able to deliver a profit, and we're still able to pay a dividend to the shareholders. So now they can appreciate the resilience that we've built in the business, and that is why you see that in the appreciation of the share price. And then also obviously there's a contribution that is also coming from the improvement in the economic fundamentals, like the exchange rate. Also that gives a contribution. So I think the job that we have and our contribution has been to build that confidence in our strategy so that the market appreciates the full value of our share or our business generally. But also I think something that is worth of commendation is also the increased activity that we're seeing now in the capital markets. And I think there's more awareness. People are more aware of the alternative investment options that they have. If you look at maybe a few years back, there was little to no activity when you look at the capital markets, and especially for on the exchange side. But now what we have seen is obviously also as people try to diversify away from the usual investment options that you have, like bonds and treasury bills or fixed term deposits. Now people are becoming more knowledgeable about shares, and then you see a lot of participation. That's why even with the IPOs that we've seen recently, there's been oversubscription, and so all that points to how much knowledge is being shared around, and commendation has to go to Luce for that. But obviously with that then comes also the benefit that we get for us, who were obviously the second to be listed many years ago, about 30 years ago. Then you now get to see as people become more aware, then they begin to participate. Then they are able to properly now start to value the businesses that are listed on the exchange. And this is obviously among the results that are coming out of that. But of course, there's a lot of hard work behind, because you cannot achieve this if, again, people are not confident about the business itself, the leadership which is in the business. And so all this is actually fruition of the hard work that every employee at Zambia Sugar has been putting in, and the commendation has to go to our people, which is obviously our greatest asset, because this is actually the achievement. This is something that they ought to celebrate, because it actually just reaffirms the confidence that people have in everybody that works at Zambia Sugar.
Absolutely. We were speaking to Oswald, and he touched on the issue of sustainability. When we've been following Zambia Sugar for several years, one thing we've picked out is the consistency in the reporting. Not only that, you've actually been able to refine and better explain what the numbers actually mean. How important is that, and being consistent in that, in terms of, obviously speaking to key stakeholders and shareholders to drive confidence?
Yeah, but I think we have again been very deliberate about our kind of communication. We communicate to what people can relate to. And also we've, like I've mentioned on a number of occasions, for example, when we're talking about ESG, we avoid to just do it for optics. We want to be able to speak to the things that people are able to see on the ground when they visit us. And that is why I'm again looking forward to our shareholder day, because again, then we give everyone an opportunity to come on the ground and see, when we talk about the short furrow irrigation, the investment that we're doing in the agri space for us to become more water efficient, for us to be able to survive a drought, they'll be able to walk in the cane fields and actually see for themselves what we're doing. When we talk about the Twazabuka project, they'll be able to come to the ground and actually see what is happening on the ground and what we're trying to build, so that they add obviously the vision that we've given to them, to be able to concretize it with what they can see on the ground. And we're expecting that when people get that full appreciation, they see what is on there, how beautiful the estate has become. I don't know when last you were there.
Yeah, but about a year ago, so yes.
Yeah,
but
how beautiful it is. Then people will then get the full appreciation, and we're expecting that then the real value of the business as well as of the share will then be reflected when it comes to our performance on the exchange. So I think it's about being deliberate in the communication and also being transparent, because it's also not just communicating what people want, but we are communicating what is actually on the ground. And the good part also, when you look at our financial performance now, we try to make sure that we hold as many sessions as possible. At our half year, we'll come to the market to explain our performance, to put it out there so that people can fully understand and appreciate where the results are coming from. Even at full year, we again come back to the market and we are able to explain. If we are doing any significant project like the Twazabuka, again, we'll make sure that we come to the market to explain to them, so that they are aware of what the potential impact is going to have, both in terms of their short-term return as shareholders, but also the long-term. And our focus for us is obviously to continue to balance between short-term return to our shareholders as well as long-term. And that's why you've seen, even when we're coming out of a drought, where we obviously suffered the knock financially, we still gave out a dividend. And our shareholders also still benefited from the capital gains that we recorded. But also further to that is that we did not say then now that we're curtailing our reinvestment, our capital investment. We said we're going to reinvest, because we are building a business for the future. Like the managing director mentioned, that we are looking at it in tranches of 40 years.
Correct.
The 40 years is past. We're in the next 40 years, and we've already done about 20 years of that. So we still have another 20 years. So we're looking at it from that angle, that we should be able to build a resilient business that is able to survive in the long term.
Absolutely. Hezron, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you so much.
And for me and my team, congratulations on the bell ringing.
No,
at
thank
1
you
billion.
so much. We appreciate it. Thank
Absolutely. So there you've heard it. We've been speaking to the Chief Financial Officer of Zambia Sugar, who's been sharing with us, some key insights around what, this monumental day for Zambia Sugar means. So stay tuned for more insights on the sidelines. My name is Moloj Vesakunda, and as we always say at Financial Insight, get to know.
Thank you.